Welcome, everyone. My name is Deborah Gallant, and you are at a deep dive, which is a monthly program presented by Entrepreneurs Forever. I'm the director, senior manager of programming. I'm going to give myself a promotion. And I create these programs every month on topics that I think you need to know. And today is especially important. And I know I have some of my colleagues from Entrepreneurs Forever because we all know that we don't know this stuff. So that's why I brought in the outside expert. Let me just tell you what we're going to do today, and then I'm going to hand it off to our presenter. We're going to do some quick introductions. Just remind you, if you don't already know who Entrepreneurs Forever is. Then I do this funny thing. I talk about the upcoming programs before we do the presentation, because inevitably we use up every minute and I never get to say them at the end. So I always do them at the beginning, so you can sign up for them if you want. And then we're gonna have the presentation from Maria Elena Duron, Texas, I think she's calling in from, yes? And she's a Grow with Google expert, and she is bringing us the latest and greatest today. And then we're gonna do the Q&A. Now, note, we do not tape the Q&A. So if you want to tell her you never installed the GA4 dashboard and you don't want to confess that for everyone to watch in a recorded webinar, don't worry. We don't record the Q&A. We stop the recording for the last half hour. So again, metrics that matter. It was one of the list that Maria Elena's assistant, Brittany, gave me. It was like, which one would you like her to present? There are so many. She could probably present for the next 8 hours, but she's not going to. We're gonna have about an hour of presentation and then a half hour of Q&A. As I said, I'm Deborah Gallant, the Senior Program Manager at Entrepreneurs Forever. Maria Elena, I'm gonna pause. I'm gonna let you do your introduction when you get started, if that's okay. So you can wave at everyone. She's our guest presenter today. Just so that you know, Entrepreneurs Forever, some of you may not know about our organization. Our mission is to empower all small business owners to grow businesses that thrive, to sustain their families, and support their communities. We do that mainly through peer-to-peer learning in groups, and many of you I know are in our groups. If you're not and you want to learn more, there's an info session every week. You can join us, and the link is right there, and it's also on our website. And as I said, I always forget to mention the next learning opportunity. So next month, Brian Slowan is coming in to talk about AI for your small business. You might think, oh, AI doesn't relate to my business. Wrong, it does, and he's going to show us how. And also next month, we're doing a Forever Forward. That's a part 2. You came last week, you heard, who is my ideal client? Next week, it's how do you find more of them, getting a steady stream of ideal clients. But if you missed the first one, you could still come to the second one. You can register online for all of those programs. Here's my big disclaimer. This presentation does not take the place of professional advice from your own paid advisors. So now we're off the hook, so we can say anything that we want. I'm stop sharing, and I'm going to let Maria take control. Hopefully you can use that share screen, and the next hour is yours. I can't wait to hear it.
All right, let's get to share screen real quick. All right, should be there. There you go. You probably see me twice right now because I'm sharing my main screen, and I'll share my other screen in a moment. Everybody hear me all right? I've got the chat box open so I can see and hear there. Actually, that's where I customize everything that I do to the people in the room. So feel free to use that chat box. And as Deborah was sharing, thank you for having me here, by the way, everyone. As she was sharing, the Q&A will not be recorded. That is at the end. So if it takes a whole sentence for you to write it, it takes usually a minute for me to read it. Then you just see the top of my head, which is a terrible learning experience for everyone. So I save those to the end, okay? So let's go ahead and dive in. And let me see, I'm going to move ahead some slides here since we went through some slides already. Deborah, thank you so much. Since Zoom was not playing friendly with me, unfortunately, I don't control that, but I would love to. So we're going to talk today about metrics that matter. All right. So everybody hear me all right? I just need a thumbs up or something in the chat. Perfect, Deborah. I see you there. Thank you so much. And we're going to take a deeper dive into metrics. Now, I know some of you may not feel that you're there. when it comes to your metrics already. You may feel that you're just beginning. Maybe you're learning your way around Google Analytics. Maybe you don't know what the difference is between Google Analytics 4 and Universal Analytics. I'm going to talk about that a little bit more and really delve and spend more time into where the areas are that you have the most need. But I will spend the initial few moments talking about setting that good foundation. Because whenever I work with businesses, that's where I see they have the most issues. It's in the foundation. It is where the problems actually lie. Anytime I talk to somebody and I find out, okay, tell me exactly what your goals are, how you're measuring things, what are those goals going to do for your bottom line, and exactly what you're looking to measure. And they are lost in that. And that's where people lose a lot of time. So we're going to really dive into that. Now, this is who I am. I am on the Google team. So just like Deborah was saying, I'm on the Google team. I've been on the Google team for almost 7 years. But I've been in small business for 20 plus years. I started out grassroots in an incubator project, and I learned the value of learning from other people's experience. So I love that you're with Entrepreneurs Forever. There is so much value in other people's experience. It's more valuable than other people's time. Okay. And money. I mean, other people's money, other people's time, of course, saves you time, but other people's money, it's more valuable than that. And I learned that in the business incubator. I earned the Texas Governor's Excellence in Small Business Award. I've been Woman of the Year. So I've had a lot of time to spend really building and growing a small business from the ground up. And I've done that in not just in service-based businesses, but also within, as I said, the agency that we started, but also in e-commerce. So I took a 300,000, just, a small 300,000 made in the garage product to an international, so it's global now, an international commerce project and product, and have done that for the last 15 years. I've been heavily involved in international e-commerce. We're now at 8.1 million from that $300,000 garage project. And that's part of the reason why Google has me speak, because I know what it's like to be butcher, baker, candlestick maker in a business, juggling everything. And now you have to be chief analyst, chief marketer, and janitor as well, right? And take care of your customers.
Maria, what did you sell? Can you tell us?
Yes, it's actually a dog product. So it's a dog product. It's a high-end dog product, and it's a dog litter box is what it is. So you've got synthetic grass and real grass, and that's where we started with. It was a little wooden box that was just put together in a garage. It's now much bigger than that, and it's something, as I said, it's in actually all of the US, in Canada, Australia, the UK, all of Europe, and yeah,
Great.
that's,
Thanks for telling us.
you're very welcome. You're very welcome. Now, if you want a copy of today's slides, this is where you can get a copy of today's slides. They are there right now. So if you want to follow along, you don't have to worry about getting those later. I also have some handouts in there that will be helpful to you later. Don't try to read those now because they're pretty in-depth about how do you look for this number? Click on this to find this number. But they're everything that you need for follow-up afterwards, because we are covering a big topic in an hour, and I do want to make sure we've got the foundation down. Okay. All right. So if you need that again, let me know. I can drop that in the chat box as well. Now, we know that data is everywhere, right? We can just Google it. We can go to AI, ChatGPT, Claude 3, Gemini 2, anything can give us the information that we need. So we can be very, very good at Trivial Pursuit, but that doesn't mean that we're really, really good at running a business. In fact, there are things and data that is neat, NEAT, to know, and need, NEED, to know. And that's the difference, is having that foundation to know what the need to know is. So for you, what is your data? Where are your actual customers coming from? Do you know who those best customers are? I know you're going to have a session next time about finding that best customer, and that is critical for you to know your target personas. The biggest problem that small businesses run into when I talk to them is they'll tell me that they can serve anybody, everybody, and somebody. And that usually gets their second cousin nobody, because it's too wide a market. And now you will dilute your message. And when people read it, they won't think it's about them. They won't get it. And they have other places that they can just swipe up and scroll. And there's someplace else with somebody who's more specific, who really gets them. So how did they find you? Do you know how they found you? A lot of people know where the big socials are, and I'm a big fan of social networks. I'm on all the socials, but that doesn't mean that's where all your customers are. There is the best place where they're at, and I'm a big proponent of the philosophy of fish where the fish are. It takes a tremendous amount of time, energy, and money to get people to look over here when they're all over here. So do you know where they're at, especially when you have limited time and you can do a little bit of competitive research to find out a little bit more from them. But when you have to still serve your customers, do you know where they're coming from? Do you know what they find interesting? Where are they right now? What is their decision journey? So what is that path they take as they are learning more about your product, service, or solution? Or maybe they don't even know they need that. Maybe they're a step back from that, not even in that looking zone, but they are about to broach that and they're starting along the questions and things that they search and say, hey, Google, hey, Alexa, or however they search to actually start finding that information. And what is it that keeps them curious? So today, as I said, we're going to start with a foundation, really understanding your account, because Google Analytics for actually is much different than the other. Absolutely. You said to please share that. So let me just go ahead and pause the share for a moment. Hold on just a second. I've covered. There we go. I covered my little bar. I'm going to pause it so I don't flash in front of you. And there we go. Let me bring up the QR code again. So there you go. Should be able to see it. I see it rendering now. There it is. So you can take that QR code, or I'll also drop it. Let's see here. It is bit.ly. So it is a bit.ly link for those of you with Norton antivirus. They don't like it, but it is going to a Google Drive. So a shared Google Drive. So that's how you can get there. Okay. All right. And we are asking for your email because I will send all these resources to you, plus some support videos that will help you know, well, how, Maria said to do this, but I really don't know how to step through this. So what I'll do is I'll send some support videos to you on, okay, this is how you find that. Click here, do this, and do this. You'll have the written instructions for that, but sometimes a video just makes it a little bit more meaningful. And now you can apply what you've learned, right? All right, so we're going to talk about this. Let me resume that share again. There we are. On how you can understand your actual Google Analytics 4 account, how to use the search box, right? So how many of you are using Google Analytics 4 already? Just put a number 1 in the chat box if you're already using it. No shame if you aren't, because a lot of people intend to do that and it can be overwhelming. So no worries about that. Just curious how many on the call here. Perfect. Thank you. Thank you so much for using that number 1. And we'll talk a little bit about how to use it in Google Ads. Now, I am not here to sell you Google Ads at all. I am here to talk about what are the free parts of Google Ads that you can use and the benefit in making sure that Google Ads and Google Analytics are speaking together. So a lot of people know that Google's the number 1 search engine in the world. YouTube is number 2. Both are owned by Google. So the beauty with YouTube is not just a search engine, but it's also a social network. So it comes in number 2 in both those places. And because of that, it's important for us to understand how search works. And not only that, for the search engine to actually have great confidence in us as a business. The reason Google is number 1 is because it delivers the right information to people at the right time when they're asking or seeking some additional information, solution. They've got a pain point. But because of that, and how it gets that information is from businesses like you. The more Google has confidence in you, which means every Google tool is now connected, pinging itself saying, yep, that's the information I have on YouTube about that business. Yep, that works in Google Merchant Center. Google Search Console says that's true. Google Analytics confirms all of that. Now in your Google business profile really is saying, yep, they're really hard here. They're a real business. Then that all confirms to Google and increases that confidence. It's known as your prominence score. Google search is built on 3 different pillars, prominence being one of them. The quality, how well do you match what people are searching? Do you actually have helpful content for the people who come and visit you? Have you updated your website? When did you update your website? Do you have any reviews? Have you uploaded any videos? Do people watch your videos? When was the last time you uploaded videos? All of those are pings to the algorithm. And when they all speak together, like Google Ads speaking to them, then there's a lot of benefit. Plus it saves you if you ever decide to do ads on your cost per click. And as always, I'll finish up with a recap and resources. In fact, there's more slides in this deck than I have time to go over, but they are there for your resource. And that's why I provided the slides. So I'm going to go in basic here first, because I want to make sure we have the solid foundation. This is critical to any analytics account. So I'm going to talk about Eva and Ricky. They're business owners. They have a t-shirt shop, some fashion. They make authentic designs, and they are going to start using Google Analytics. The key here is they have to have SMART goals. Now, you guys have heard of this before: specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, timely. Those 5 points of a SMART goal. But this is critical for everything that you're doing within Google Analytics. If you don't have and SMART test every single one of your goals, then not only could you be off trajectory of what your actual goal is, but the algorithm and the tool doesn't know what to measure. It is confused by that, and that confusion can cost you significant time and energy. So as you look here, again, it's specific. When you say, I want more people to come to my site, well, one person is more people. That's it. So one person in 10 years is more people. So keep that in mind. What is it specifically that you want? And can you measure it? I just want people to love us. They just want to make sure we have brand awareness. And I want to be sure that we're it and we're everything. So how are you measuring that? What's the critical key data that actually helps you indicate that that is what they're seeing? Could it be that they are coming to find your brand? They use direct search, which means they actually put your website address in there. They are mentioning you, sharing you, and you actually have good share of mind in socials. Are you measuring all of that? Because that's what actually having good sentiment and good brand awareness, those are some of the measurables of that. Is it attainable? All right, Maria, I want to make $1 million at the end of 2024, but I made $100,000 at the end of 2023. So my question is then, what are you doing differently this year to make the difference of $900,000 between last year and this year? Because doing the same thing the same way and expecting different results is what? The definition of insanity, right? And we want to be very much moving towards our goal and bottom line. Is it relevant? Maria, I want more people to like my post on social. And that's great. Those are known as vanity metrics. They give us that little slip of endorphin and we love it. But it does not mean that that's helping us grow our business. So when you say, I want to have 100 more followers on Instagram or on TikTok, and you can tell me, all right, when I have 100 more followers, that means on every post, I get about 20 likes. When I get about 20 likes, 10 of them come to my site, and of the 10, 9 actually sign up and leave their email address. Now, I know social is all rented land. So if you can gather somebody's email address and that's your strategy, is to try to make sure that everybody following you on socials comes here, because what happened 3 weeks ago? There was Armageddon, wasn't it? Meta went down. People couldn't log into Facebook. They can log into Instagram. They thought, oh my gosh, they've been hacked. What can they do? And the question comes about to, if you lost your socials and access for whatever reason, because they go down for the wonkiest reasons, for whatever reason, do you have a way to stay connected with those people, or do you completely lose them and the time that you invested in creating those relationships? So that is something that's relevant when somebody can say, Maria, I want 100 more likes because this is what that means to me. And they can connect it with exactly how it helps lift that bottom line. That's good. That's good. They know exactly what their goals are and they've SMART tested every single one of them. And then, is it time bound? Remember what I said. 10 years, you can get one other follower. I want to make more money. Well, how much is more money? 1 penny is more money. And by the time I'm 99 years old, that's not going to be significant, unless, of course, I'm doing the compounding penny every day. But is it time bound? Do we time bound every one of our actual goals? So in Eva and Ricky's instance, they did. They wanted to know if they did city designs and these cities, would people want to buy those, and would they be able to increase their visitors by 10%? Really focusing on social, doing ads, and then following up what's happening in Google Analytics to see if they made the right decisions. Because when you have these insights, not only do you have data, now you have actionable insights and you can start making better business decisions. So for them, they had to know what their goals are. So for you, let's slow down just a moment and take a deep breath. What are your goals?
Maria, I was surprised you didn't have your sample people, Eva and Ricky, have a dollar amount goal. Are you saying that that's not always the goal?
Not always. It depends. If they're looking for it, they just want to measure where they're getting the most interest at because they want to see whether or not there's even a viable market there. That's one thing. Now, if they want to say the dollar amount, because they might find the great market there, but their product might not be a great match. Maybe it is too high priced. So now they've got to go in and do some testing on, you know what, people didn't get that at $10 or at $25 or $50, but now maybe they'll get it for half that price. So while you can do that, remember, the more factors you put in there, the more you need to really understand what's happening. So I'm a big fan of A/B testing. I am a little bit leery of A, B, C, D, E testing, because now you run into that confusion of, I don't know if I can make a solid decision because I'm not sure which was the deciding factor. But you can definitely do that. In fact, I like to, so I'm talking to you about Google Analytics, but do understand I like a plethora of tools that I look at. I look at, tools that are that actually manage average order value, lifetime value. I use mouse flow to see where people pause, where they look, where they leave, to actually watch recordings of
So
how
if I
people
was going to
behave.
clarify, if you went back a slide to where Eva and
Mhm,
Ricky were setting their goal.
mhm.
So let's say in the next quarter, but the following quarter, it might be to test product sales from the city that was the biggest. So this is just a small, measurable, attainable, realistic, time delimited goal that
Correct.
will probably have follow-on goals.
Yes, correct, correct. Because you're going to test each hypothesis that you have each time. So this might be, I'm going to test this if these are the cities. Now, is this the price point for the cities? It seems like there's volume there, but maybe they're not t-shirt wearers. Maybe they're more high-end fashion, or maybe not. So I need to know that. And part of that will be not just here, but also what is some of the competitive research that I do. One of the things that when I'm teaching people how to identify who their personas are, I talk about who's competing for that same dollar, because sometimes it could be a direct competitor. Sometimes it's somebody that's not even the same industry, but still competing for that same spendable or expendable dollar. So as you look at this, that's what you're going to make some decisions and have other tools in play too. But you can always go back to Google Analytics to measure exactly what you're focused on at that time. So for example, if I'm measuring, let's say through mouse flow, the actions that are happening and who is clicking off and who X's out, who comes back, who goes to, I can actually measure in Google Analytics who went to my competitors, who went to social to get my social credibility and see whether or not they like to trust me, but then came back to the site, who went shopping at competitors, which competitors did they go to? So you can tag all your Google Analytics to do that, but I see the behavior happening in mouse flow, which is what starts the hypothesis of, I wonder what's taking them away. So some good questions. In fact, that's what a lot of times when I'm introducing Google Analytics to people, I'll explain to them to think of it that, let's say that we had a physical store, right? So we're at a physical store, and all morning long, people came in and they went to aisle one and then went to aisle three, and then they just left. Nobody bought. 1, 3 left all morning long. And then the afternoon came, and here people come, they go to aisle one, aisle four, aisle three, and now they buy. 1, 4, 3, buy. 1, 4, 3, buy. Now I've got questions. Is it the people in the afternoon who are more likely my customer and the people in the morning are just looky-loos? Or is there something on aisle three or aisle one that is keeping them from purchasing? Is there something that builds credibility, trust, or really convinces them that this is what they need to do in aisle four? I want to look at that. So for your website, if people come all day long to page one, the home page three, and they leave, 1, 3 leave, 1, 3 leave, and then in the morning they go 1, 4, or the afternoon 1, 4, 3. Now I have questions, because what is it that people are really doing? Who are they? And as those are leaving, are they going off and doing some comparison shopping or looking into our credibility? Okay, so I see some questions here. Absolutely. Where do you get that? So Mouseflow is actually another tool that you can use for free. You can use Clarity. You can look into to see how people work and behave on your site. But I happen to like Mouseflow just because you get actual recordings. And yes, we'll definitely share those links. So great question, Deborah. So this is what we're doing and we're measuring here. Now, she brought up a great point though. Does this meet the SMART test? Okay, is it specific? It is for them because they're looking for visitor increase right now, so just 10%. But if it could be, are these three markets the most profitable, then it could be that we're looking at the sales, but not just sales contribution too. So for you, what are your goals? Is it phone calls? Is it foot traffic? Sometimes it's just people watching our video, downloading the information, filling the contact form, filling out Messenger and connecting it to us and or WhatsApp. So what is your actual goal from what that you're putting together, and what and how are you measuring those goals? So as we look at Google Analytics, this is what it looks like. Now, hint to you, all navigation of Google tools happens on the left-hand side. Usually happens other places too, so we give you more than one way, but on the left is where you can see all the navigation that you need. If you don't see it, then you might just be seeing the icons that actually come up. So let me show that. Hold on here. I'm gonna do something dangerous and do a live demo. Give me just a moment. All right, as I switch screens here, this is a live demo. So you see how those icons let stay over on the left-hand side, and when I hover over them, now it exposes that. So that's just so that you know that's exactly where you can see the actual icons and how they behave. And when they open up and you click on them, now you can see these actual reports, these snapshots that are available to you. So you can use Google Analytics to really not only understand how they behave, your marketing strategies, and now to see whether or not you're aligning with your customer. Do you give them what they want? Do you watch their behavior journey on your site? So you understand content. There's a lot of times when we are unsure of who it is that we serve, that we create content for ourselves, because at one time, whenever we created whatever we did, we were our best customer, but we are no longer there because we've got experiential knowledge behind us. So as we look at the content, what is it that the audience wants? And the channels, while we may be great fans of Meta, or we just love how entertaining TikTok could be, that doesn't mean entertaining turns into dollars that we can now put towards our bottom line or gets us closer to our goals. So that shows you how to sign up. I'm not going to share that too long. You've got that in your PDF, understanding your account. All right, let's talk about that. In home is the default where you land. All right, so you can see home there. You can see kind of a snapshot. This is a quick look-see of what's happening within your website. When you go to reports, now you can click on reports and see some customized reports there, and even reports that you can enable to help bring you more clarity into your data. Now with the report options, you'll see there that first bubble to the top right says date range. You can choose the date that you want to look at, so you don't have to go with the default. You can choose filters that you use to look at a specific segment, or look at a specific area of the country, look at specific users like people or visitors to your site who might use Android compared to iOS. You can get that specific. You can also provide a comparison. How much do women buy between the ages of 25 and 30 compared to women who are between the ages of 40 and 55. So I might do a comparison that way. Now, real time is one of the reports that you have immediate access to. You see it stands alone compared to all the other reports. And the reason being is because in real time, you might want to know what's happening. Let's say you sent out a post today on socials, or you sent an email newsletter out. You might want to see exactly whether or not it's getting you any lift or traction to your site. In real time, you can see that. Let's say I just sent it out, now I'm watching it. Was working with a business who had a fall product that they launched this last fall. It was on the Today Show as one of the must-haves of the fall. So we watched it as the Today Show was released in every time zone. You could see it as that actually would come on, and their product would show up, what would spike to their website as people came, which gave us a better idea of whether or not the channel, this specific channel, live TV, was something that made perfect sense for them. So for you, it'll give you a chance to see, what, is Pinterest all that I thought it was? Or, is really Instagram bringing it to me? Or is it more a long-term play with that? Am I getting the kind of traffic that I'm looking from my Google shopping ads even? Maybe I put a new shopping ad out. Or email. Is my email working? Do I have the 8 transactional emails that are core to every email? Should have those transactional flows in there. Am I using that? And are my flows working well? Not just from the numbers that I see in email, but what they do afterwards as they travel around or come back to the site. Acquisition. Where do they come from? All right. Are they coming directly? So what does direct tell me? Well, direct tells me that I have brand awareness, because what direct search means is that they actually put in my company name, abccompany.com. They know the company name. And a lot of people will use a lot of their time and energy putting brand awareness. So working on that top of funnel. When you think of the top of funnel, awareness is first. It's the biggest part because when people don't know you exist, they can't do business with you. Then we come down through consideration. This is where we build know, like, and trust. We can do business with lots of people, but are you an expert at what you do? Is your product the best out there? And now can I consider you because you have good third-party validation? Now we go to conversion, doing the success action that you want from your site. Do you want them to call, download some information, watch the video, leave their contact info, and then we go to loyalty. What are you doing to build that relationship and engage your customers with word of mouth to now bring in their contact sphere? So that's the funnel: awareness, consideration, conversion, and then also loyalty. The first part is awareness. Well, if we've got good brand awareness, then people know our name and they can put it in there. Compared to organic search, if you look at the actual fifth item there on the bubble that calls out and shows you exactly what that little print is about under the bar graph, you'll see that organic search is low. That means that people aren't looking for that particular industry. So for Eva and Ricky's instance, it could be, I'm looking for t-shirt fashion. So t-shirt fashion means I'm interested in t-shirts and maybe even cotton t-shirts, but I'm not particularly aware of Eva and Ricky's business. So that's what we look at: acquisition. Where did that business come from? Is it cross network, which usually means that's an ad that's shared across several different places? Is it a referral, meaning somebody put, they mentioned us on their blog or in email marketing, so they referred business to us? Maybe you even have affiliates. It could be an organic video that you put out somewhere on your site or on maybe LinkedIn or perhaps within even YouTube. And it could be organic search. Again, we want to know what matters to us. So I'm going to say, let me see if I can bring this up, this live demo again. And for instance, there we go. All right, so I'm going to go to reports. I'm going to go to acquisition. And I'm going to go to user acquisition. Now, user and acquisition and traffic acquisition are not one and the same, because sometimes I am one user, but I might be 5 to 6 different points of traffic, because I start the morning on my mobile phone while I'm dropping off kiddos. Then I go to the coffee shop and I'm on my tablet. Then I go to my laptop. Then I go to my desktop when I get to the office. And at the end of the day, I throw it to my smart TV. So those are different points where I am actually more traffic, but I'm still one user, one very engaged user. All right, so as I'm looking here, let's just look for this month. So we're going to go ahead and put for this month. So we're going to change those dates up. All right, we see this business is getting more business from cross network, which means ads. So usually means Google search ads and YouTube search ads. Paid social, that usually is Meta and TikTok. Direct, so it's got some brand awareness, but not as much as it needs. Right now, it needs more brand awareness, which means it probably needs to even work more on the content of its site. Now, if I wanted to go here, I could plus this out and put a filter. So I can say the traffic source, and I want to know what Google ads are doing well. So now I can even find out specifically which Google ads are doing well. Or perhaps I want to know traffic source, and I just want to know cross channel. So I can see it's coming from Google, paid Facebook, direct. So people know some of the name, but it still needs to move up because it's not high yet on the contribution that it has in sales. Facebook, Google, Klaviyo, that's email marketing. So that's there. Organic search, organic social. So you can see there's a referral. I would probably take care of my referrals and want them to do that over and over and provide them sources, especially as they creep up to number 1. If that's where I need to spend my resources, then maybe it's in referral sources as opposed to building out direct, because I'm already at number 3 with direct. But once I get direct to 1, I will start looking at how I expend budget and make some decisions, because I've already got brand awareness. As long as I maintain brand awareness, that's good, right? All right, so let me come off of
Maria
that.
Elena, can I ask a question while you're on that screen? Go back to the
Ah,
live one. One of the
mhm.
things I remember from the old Google Analytics interface was being able to see what search words people were looking for when you came through organic search. How do I find that report here?
Okay, so Search Console, you can look and see what the queries are here, what people are looking for. And so
Mhm.
now you can see the exact words. You can expand that out to 250. In this instance, for this business, there's 108. So you can see the exact search queries here.
Great, thank you.
Now, what you might also want to do is, let me see, I'm gonna go back to the presentation real quick because I may need to log into Google Ads, just so you can see how they complement each other.
This is terrific. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're very welcome. Just sometimes it takes a little bit, the logging in, as we all know, is usually where it takes a little bit of time. And I have several Google accounts, so let me just go in here and see if I can show you this. Um, let's just stay with the same business then. All right. So how they work so well together. Oops, apologize here. This is really small. Let me make this a little bit
We're
bigger.
still seeing the presentation slide.
Yeah, I'm not gonna, I'm gonna make it bigger before I show you, just because it's super tiny. All right, here we go. All right. So what you can do within Google Ads is if you go to Tools, you'll see Keyword Planner there. And now you can discover new keywords. So you can start with a website. In this instance, let me put. And now what's even better here is now you can see the volume of the keyword searches, whether or not there's been a change in that, how much they're bidding for that, which gives you a chance to get an idea of what's actually working more out of these keywords, that can do more heavy lifting for you than anything else. Another
So
place.
look at that one and tell us what you would advise the client.
Well, I would actually need to know what their goals are. So in this instance, I know they're trying to sell their diet drops. So I would probably say stay around these diet drops, but I would go to Google Trends. Well, let me go here first.
Wow, she's amazing.
I'd go to Google Trends and I would say diet drops. Again, sorry, this is going to be really tiny till I make it bigger. All right, so this is what's been searched in the past day, but I'm going to expand it out to 90 days just to get a better idea. Not really a lot of searches for diet drops. So I see what it is. They're looking for omni diet drops, complex diet drops. Now, see, this is one. So Deborah, if I was advising him, I would say one of his brands or one of his products is complex diet drops. I would say use this because there's a couple of things happening here. Google Ads has not picked up that this is popular. It's increasing because you see this plus 250% increase,
Yeah.
which means people are utilizing it. And now you can show up organically and even use it for ads, but less costly than one that's been around for a while. Breakout terms are the best ones to work with because they are very much at the lowest cost Google Ads will be. Google has not read yet that this is very much popular, but you can still show up at the forefront of that. And I tell people to get creative, Deborah, because they can do things like, let's say you don't have those diet drops. So maybe you're all about good, holistic, whole food eating. Okay. So you don't do the diet drop things, but not your business. So you might say you do a blog post and several posts and a video and say, we're not a fan of diet drops. We do this instead. You're still using the term. So
You get the advantage of the traffic and the term, but it's not what you sell.
exactly,
I
exactly.
get
So
it.
you can take advantage that way too and get a little creative there. So again, because we remember that philosophy of, when you've got people looking over here and then you want them to look over here, let's meet them here. We were working with a veterinarian in Corpus Christi, Texas, and that's exactly, the biggest search term, the one that was doing the best out there was cheapest veterinarian in Corpus Christi. It was a breakout session breakout term that was doing really well. And do know that people search in phrases. Understand that's been a big switch. You've heard that about long tail keywords, which are more than just a word, it's a whole phrase. but know that AI, artificial intelligence, has definitely changed the dynamics, and keywords are still important, but you do need to revamp your keyword strategy to be more conversational, because people talk to their AI. For those of us who were back before the internet ever existed, if you remembered Ask Jeeves, that's how people are talking to their AI. So if you remember that and keep your phrases that way, you have more of a chance to show up for relevant traffic and be seen as somebody who could help them, as opposed to just using simple keywords. So in this instance, what we're doing is the Corpus Christi veterinarian, he actually said, I'm not the cheapest in Corpus Christi, but we're the best because we take care of your four-legged family member like their family. So he was able to rank for that and show up higher, even though that's not what people were searching for, but now they had and were able to make a choice. So engagement, how much time are people spending on your site? All right, this is where people are a little bit freaked out when they go to Google Analytics because they'll look at and they'll see an engagement rate and they don't understand it. So bounce rate, if you understand before July 1st, 2023, when Google Analytics 4 took the lead and Universal Analytics was sunsetted, that before we looked at bounce rate, and that's how we gauged whether or not something was relevant to people. And you've heard a little bit of debate about, do you really measure bounce rate or not? In Google Analytics 4 days now, no, you do not have to really worry about bounce rate. Why? Because the scenario I took you through a moment ago, which is I might have 2 cell phones, I might have 3 laptops, I might have one iPad and an Android tablet. Not that I do, but I might have a smart TV. So even though I may bounce within 1 second from here, so it looks like you've got a high bounce rate, you did engage me, but it's still me that went to the laptop. It's still me that went to the smart TV. So looking at engagement rate is more realistic now because most people have more than one device. All right. So that's the beauty of what Google Analytics 4 can do for you. Now, for those of you in e-commerce, there's a lot to measure in e-commerce. And if you're not looking at whether or not you're getting sales and whether or not you have an abandoned checkout rate or an abandoned cart rate, there's a difference between the two. Okay. So just to give you the quick overview, abandoned cart, not advanced cart. Abandoned cart means just like it sounds, you roll it over, you fill up your cart and you leave. It's usually you've got some buyer's remorse in there. You've got a little bit of shopping going on, why people will leave a cart. And maybe they don't really trust you yet. They're not really sure if you're a valid provider. Know that there are several things in your information architecture, what you do on your website to provide them that gives them that trust. Even having, let's say, one sentence to name and title a product, and then having 3 sentences so it's wonky and they're not aligned, can be a signal to distrust to people because they feel like, oh, maybe this isn't a real website, it's a phishing site. They have a lot of different issues that may be those different things that help them decide, you know what, I'm going to abandon the cart right now and I'll come back later. And sometimes you can recover them through email marketing, especially if you know why they abandoned it and you're addressing all their needs. But abandoned checkout, what that means is not that one and the same with abandoned cart. Abandoned checkout means I trusted you and believed in this product enough and what I was buying to give you my email address, my mailing address, and all I have left to put in is my payment info. And something went wrong. What often goes wrong is that you want them to go get their credit card, and most people don't go to get their credit card. Some people have it memorized in their mind, but most are using Shop Pay, Google Pay, Apple Pay, Amazon Pay, PayPal, Stripe. They're using some other tool because when they're shopping, especially, I'm going to go back to the dog product. We knew our best customers were women between the ages of 32 and 45 years old. And the time they shopped was 2:20 in the morning on their mobile phone in their bed. They were not going to get up and get their credit card for anything. So we had to have every way that they could pay and make it easy for them to buy from us. And that's really the question you need to ask. Do you make it easy for them to buy from you? Now, the rest of that story, just so you know, that we didn't even have any of our social posts and still don't till 2 o'clock in the morning because not that we can't serve anybody with a dog, but the best customer logs in and starts shopping at 2:20. We don't want to miss them. So even our socials don't show up till 2 o'clock. Looks like we're
I
asleep
think
in the day.
that's hysterical. I always talk about what are your clients looking for when they wake up in the middle of the night. It's like how do I not let my dog out? Boy, that's like, what's the alternative to going downstairs and opening the door for the dog? It's a dog litter box. You're perfect.
That's exactly what we found out. We thought, why bother them in the middle of the day? You know, they're busy working and doing what, taking care of their family. But at night, that's when the pain point arises. So you're absolutely right, Deborah. All right, so we need to look at how and whether or not people are buying from us, and are our loyal customers coming back, because the content, so your information architecture, which is all the content you put on your site, is going to be determined on whether or not you have returning customers or new customers. So for example, in Eva and Ricky, or even Ricky's example, if all they had was returning customers, then their language specifically is going to be different about reordering. There's going to be some terms and some quantities that people may be familiar with. Now, if I'm a new customer and that's the majority, and you think that it's returning customers coming back, now you've totally thrown them for a loop. They don't know what they're looking for or looking at, because they are not familiar with your business and your different, just even the lingo in your business. Tech helps you keep up with your actual audience. You know, what is it that they're doing? What are they using? And this is the big thing that I love about Google Analytics 4. And that is, you can lean into Google's AI, artificial intelligence, and this is analytics intelligence, and you can ask questions. So remember before, and I'm just going to play with, let me bring it up here again. Sorry, I've got different screens. Okay. All right. So let's play with this. And let's say, I just want to know, what are my top countries by revenue? Now I can have it show that. Now for this, in this instance, I know that he does most of his business in the US, so I'm not going to even look for that, but it could be, maybe I want to know bounce rate. Maybe I want to know for one page, just because that specific page was, I treated it like a landing page. So I wanted to see the bounce rate in that particular snapshot. So I can look this way by search. I can look at our engagement rate.
Can you look at the abandoned cart versus, what did you call that? Abandoned checkout. I would love to see that.
Abandoned cart rate. Okay. I don't know that it's, you might need to set, that didn't come up in analytics, but I know where to look, because you're going to go into monetization, e-commerce purchases, and the checkout journey. Okay, so this is abandoned here, the abandonment rate with the checkout. And I'm going to go back here to cart. Got the abandonment rate with cart.
Mhm.
Okay, so we've got 41.2%. Let's see, by step 3. Yeah, so they're going through the mobile. So I would go, actually, I would look at this to see, why am I losing so much abandonment here at 41? I see some at the very beginning, but I'm really more interested when we get right to the checkout. So as they begin the checkout, now here we see 32.2%. Not huge, but still, why is it that they don't believe in us? Is it, so I got to look at the payment. I also need to look whether or not I have reviews on the abandonment or on the checkout page, because if I don't have any reviews there either, sometimes that can be some of the problems. I really like to leave reviews here at add to cart, just because it helps solidify and move them towards checking out. So then the only issue here becomes payment.
Right. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. All right, let's go back here. I just got to move, sorry, just so I have it out of my way. And we can get custom insights here as well. So you can set those up. And when you look at Discover or Explore, so you can look at this, you can look at the insights that Google recommends, or you can actually put reports together and it'll walk you through. Now, what I did in one of the handouts is I actually have a link for what you actually need to include as you're doing different things, like, you know, measuring your average order value, or measuring abandoned cart rate versus abandoned checkout rate, or, you know, what was it last year compared to this year at this time. So doing that comparison, you can do all of that in explorations. And what's nice about this is you can go up into the search bar and just ask, you know, what are the steps to create what I need here? And then you're going to actually plug in this data here from this screen, which you'll see is that third icon down, explorations. So you can go in here and put your own explorations and your own reports together. So when we look at even Ricky, what they did find is they had their SMART goals. They discovered that all 3 cities didn't perform the same. And so they decided to focus on the two most profitable cities. Again, they looked at just the volume of interest and then who actually would purchase from them. Now, you heard me talk about ads a moment ago. This is why you want to put the two together, all of your Google tools together, because every Google tool not only confirms with each other, but it's the low hanging fruit for search engine optimization, right? Search engine optimization is how well we optimize and calibrate what we want the search engine to see us for and what our actual goals are. So what's nice is low SEO is to be able, low hanging fruit SEO is connect all the tools. Now they're all speaking to each other, right? And
Even
that'll
if you're
also,
not, even if you're not going to spend a lot on
mhm,
Google Ads or maybe anything at all, you can still have a Google Ads account and access the tools, right?
correct, correct. You sure
Okay.
can. So it used to be, I will tell you, until probably about a month and a half ago, you could have Google Ads and you didn't have to put any payment information. But Google has gotten smart to that people figured that out. And so now you do have to put payment information, but if you're not running any ads, it's
If you
not going
don't
to
run
pull
any ads, it
anything.
didn't cost you
Right,
anything.
exactly. And I know some people like to put, cards like prepaid cards in there, just or virtual cards. A lot of times we'll do that so they don't even have to ever worry about that. But you're not running ads, so you're good. So you can go in and start connecting the two and really them learning from each other. And the way you can do that is if you look at your analytics, go drop down to all the way to the bottom corner, you'll see that gear icon. And that gear icon is where you can click and now it'll walk you through. So it's pretty intuitive. You'll just click and connect the two together. And if Google needs additional information like confirmation that you own the domain, it will let you know that. All right. All right, so those are the basics of Google Analytics. I know we went through that, and I'm glad that there were lots of questions. Deborah, thank you. Those are really very helpful questions to help flesh out exactly how you can use those. Let's talk about what numbers you need to look at, okay? Because I went high over those numbers, but now you have it in the handout here. For your website traffic, you want to look at your total visits. How many people are actually coming to your site? But remember what I said, I might visit a site 15 times, but I'm one visitor. So total visits might be 3,600 people came in today, but of the unique visitors, there might only be 500 or 600. How many pages were actually viewed? Are people looking at your content? Is your content mattering to them? Are they finding what they need in their decision journey? And then the engagement rate. Remember, they're coming in from different devices, so we want to know how well they stay engaged. Conversion rate is how well and what are they doing that you deem as success actions on your site. So a lot of people think conversion rate is just e-commerce based. It's not. It could be that you fill out the contact form, that you download the PDF. So whatever it is that you deem as a success action, that's your conversion that you want done. But now your customer acquisition cost, what is that? All right, how much does it cost you to get a customer? So you hear people, especially when they're talking about ads, will talk about ROAS, return on ad spend. But when you look at MER, which is your marketing efficiency ratio, now you look at the total cost because whenever you put any ads out, it's not just the cost of the ad budget that's the cost. It took labor, research, time, maybe even creative to create these things. And there is a cost to that. Maybe it costs for the warehouse. It costs for you to even have it available in that area, in that country. Maybe there's a cost for storage, like in Amazon. So if you think about that, what is your whole customer acquisition cost? And when you know your customer lifetime value, that is over the lifetime. Are there subscriptions? Do they come back several times? Is it every 2 years they buy a new product? Or is there a longer sales cycle where maybe it's every 10 to 15 years when they'll come back and renew? So is it one time or is it a subscription? You use that, all of that to actually determine your LTV, your lifetime value. Your churn rate is just what it sounds like. It is whether or not you are keeping your current customers. So if I have a churn rate of 60%, that means out of 100 customers, I lose 60 every, let's say, quarter. My churn rate is 60% every quarter. If that's okay for this market, then that may be okay, but maybe it's not. Maybe I have a consumable, and that's kind of scary that I have a 60% churn rate because I want somebody who's going to be coming back in and buying this every quarter. So what is it that I'm doing that I need to present to them what they need to continue to do business with us or make it easy for them to do business with us every quarter, almost a no-brainer, where they set a subscription up. Social media engagement, those are, some specific metrics. We'll talk about that in a moment. But one of the things, like, for example, brand awareness, we talked about, yes, you can look at reach and you can look at impressions. Um, Reach is, how many people do you reach in let's something that you post out. Impressions are how many eyeballs saw it, but understand impressions are not clicks. So impressions are, if you think, because I came from traditional media. So in traditional media, you could have a billboard up, and if there are 10,000 vehicles that drive by it, those are 10,000 impressions. Whether anybody actually looked up and did even saw what you put out there may or may not be relevant, but you get 10,000 impressions because that's the traffic along that roadway. Well, just because somebody saw it doesn't mean it meant anything to them, right? They're going like this. Even on YouTube or any video, if somebody clicks on it and it's in 3 seconds, they jump off, that means that was a mistake click. I wouldn't count that as a real click. That's an impression. But if somebody spends 10 seconds watching a video, that's commitment. And it shows that because 10 seconds is a long time in videos that normally, I was going to say in TikTok, you have to present something within the first 0.6 seconds, usually something controversial for them to stay on. So when you look at that, a whole 10 seconds, that's a lifetime. So as you think about that, look at your socials, look whether or not you have the brand awareness. Do you have the follower growth? Do you have the mentions? Do you have the share of voice? Do you know what your growth rate is? All of that is important to brand awareness. All right, site traffic, you're going to look at your click-through rate on socials and your referral traffic. That's really important. How many people are clicking through either the 4 links you have on your Instagram profile, or maybe if you put a link on Twitter or X, are they clicking through? So what's the click-through rate? You might look at even community growth in social. So you're looking at your follower growth rate as well. We'll talk about more in socials in just a minute. Email metrics. I'm a big fan of email because a lot of people think that email is dead and they don't realize that people still go to email when they're looking for important information, confirmation of purchases, family information, travel information. They still go to email. So it's not dead, but we still have to give them something of value because people's inboxes are totally stressed out. And if they don't have anything of value, they'll unsubscribe or mark us in spam, or will land in the promotions folder, which is where we could go to not be seen. So we do want to be seen. So think of your email metrics. What's the total revenue from campaigns and flows? They are 2 different things. Campaigns are just that marketing campaign. We're getting ready. It's Easter. So there's an Easter campaign. It may be very seasonal, or it could be, there's a campaign for people who are getting new puppies. But the flows could be your transactional flows. It could be maybe a welcome flow. It could be, so I say welcome to somebody who's come to the site or signed up for our actual email marketing. It could be a cart abandonment flow. You left this in the cart and I'm still holding it for you. We'll have you come back. Or, did you need another payment form because it's a actual checkout abandonment that happened? It could be a transactional flow that they bought from us. So here's your product, it's coming, you can track it, it's amazing. And look, here are 12 other things that we recommend going with this. So it might be that related. Think of, all the different flows, and there are 8 specific flows that you need to have. And a lot of people don't realize the sunset flow is one of the best flows that you can have for your email marketing. And what a sunset flow is, it means that maybe somebody in 6 months or a year has never opened any one of your emails. And now you're giving them one last email to say, listen, don't want to stress you out. It's time to say goodbye. If you want to stay on, click here to stay on. More often than not, people will stay on, but not only that, they end up buying from that. It's one of the most profitable flows. In fact, even above the welcome series flows. So make sure you have the 8 transactional flows if you have transactions. You may not have those, like if you don't do any email marketing. So you might just have 6 because some of them are very specific to email marketing, like site abandonment or cart abandonment. But you do need to have those and know what the average open rate is. So campaigns are different from flows. What's your average open rate? How many people actually open your email? Do they want it? Are your subject lines working? How many click through? Just because they opened it doesn't mean they clicked in it and that they have found anything of value. A click lets you know there is an interest there. That is them self-disclosing that. How many placed an order and how much revenue per participant? Again, those top performing flows, these are the 8 that I mentioned earlier, right? So, and I'm sorry, I say that typo right now. You check things a million times. I see replenishment. That's not how you spell it, but I see it. Anyway, that's the email metrics to look at. For SMS, that's text marketing, you want to know whether or not it's growing, right? Because a lot of times, in fact, we're seeing an increase. People now, 67% of people are actually buying by text. It used to be that text would just remind you that you had an email to go look at, and they would wait till they got somewhere to read their email and they would buy. But they're actually clicking through now because so many people are using mobile apps. They're now used to being able to buy through a click there. So how many new subscribers were added? How many signed up by desktop or mobile? Are you ready with mobile? Do know that if your website is not mobile responsive or mobile friendly, and if it's not secure, then there's nothing that you can do in Google world to get you to the top of search, because Google penalizes heavy for those two things: not being mobile responsive or mobile friendly, and not having a secure site. So you have to have the lock on there, the secure site. And when I say mobile friendly, if they have to pinch and zoom or swipe side to side to finish a sentence, then it's not mobile friendly or
Maria, if
mobile.
people
Mhm.
don't know if their site complies with that, how can they figure it out?
Oh, one of the things, let me show you. I'm going to bring up, hold on. Just want to bring up
You know
screen.
so much. I feel like this is a crash course on digital marketing. It's amazing.
Somebody give me your site. Go ahead and drop that in the chat box so I can look at your site.
Somebody gets the opportunity to have her look at your site. There you
Okay.
go.
All right.
Thanks,
So
Casey.
thank you. Let me go here. I'm going to go to the live. There we go. All right. Thank you, Casey. This is where I could mess it up because I will type it in wrong. But you want to be in Chrome. You have to be in Chrome to do this. You're going to do HTTPS:///, and then I'm not going to use the www, Casey. I'm going to do PGH WORSHCO.com. Make sure I spelled that correctly. I sure did. All right. When I hit enter, all right, it's showing me your site. I'm going to right click this and hit inspect. This is what your site, don't pay attention to the gibberish here. This is what it looks like on an iPhone 12. Maybe I want to see what it looks like on a iPad Pro, but I don't have to swipe side to side. So Casey, it looks like you are mobile friendly, mobile responsive. If I come off of this, let me see, let me X out of this. My camera's covering where I need to go. All right, there we go. And if I go to, sorry, site, SITE, and I'm going to go to pghshco.com. You can also do this in Chrome. No, I don't want you to know that right now. Make that bigger. So this case, he's also showing me that Google sees 31 results. If you have more than 31 web pages, then you need to find out what's going on, okay? Because this is all Google sees, which means, have you, Casey, entered, is that first of all correct? Do you have 31 pages of your site? Remember, blog posts are considered each pages as our product pages. And if you have more than that, have you entered your site into Google's library? Because we're all responsible for that. A lot of people post and publish things and they think Googlebot will find you, but it's on us to actually enter things into Google's library through Google Search Console. So I see here this, it looks good though. You look, I mean, you're naming up here, you're staying consistent. Some people will put the name of their website. They'll put a line here in the name of their website, but I mean, it looks good.
Is that about right for you, Casey? 31 pages?
I actually don't know.
Good to look at
That's
then.
why I'm here. That is why I'm signed up for this webinar.
Oh, I'm hearing, why am I here? SMS marketing, we want to look at our total revenue, right? Because a lot of times we have to take into consideration there's a cost per text. So especially if you're going out to any of the European countries, in the US, it's a lot lower cost per text, or sometimes you'll buy it in bulk. Some of the email marketers will have even that built into their actual annual or monthly price. So just take a look at what revenue that you're getting, what average order value that you're getting, whether or not people are actually clicking through, and whether they bought from the click through. Just because they click through doesn't mean that they bought. So that's how you can fine tune some of your messaging that's happening there. Okay. With social, these are some of the things that we were just talking about a moment ago, looking really at social sentiment. Now that you're going to have a paid tool. There is a Crowd Analyzer there's several others. So I would Google Crowd Analyzer and see who some of the competitors are, just so you can have not sediment, not geology, sentiment. But if you want to, if that's important to you, if you're doing a lot of social media marketing, you might want to see if there's a lot of brand advocacy. So that is looking at how many people are generating content around your brand. So are they talking about you? Are you getting a lot of stories done about you? Or are people resharing? So engagement, that's resharing, clicking, are they commenting? So those are even more valuable than the vanity metrics of likes and follows, okay? For brand marketing, here's a nice simple formula that you can use to, really look at awareness. So that's the number of people who know who you are, the sentiment on a scale of 1 to 10, what are people's perception of you? Now you might take that in first party data, so zero data actually, and ask your customers to do that in a survey, or you can use something, as I said, like Crowd Analyzer to find out what the sentiment is. Boy, that one just wants to be a challenge for me, that word. And then customer lifetime value. What is their lifetime value that they spend on average over 5 years? And you can use this formula to see whether or not your brand marketing is working, because brand marketing is one of the hardest of all to measure. Okay. With ads, you want to look at return on ad spend, because you need to know if your budget's working. But ads don't just cost you just the budget that you spend. So you're looking at your marketing efficiency ratio. This is how much contribution, because let's say I'm doing really, really good with ROAS, return on ad spend. And whenever I'm working with a business, even for our own business, I look at, all right, if you look at ROAS, that means for every dollar that you spend, if it's one, if the ROAS, return on ad spend's one, for every dollar you spend, you get a dollar back. So it's a wash, but is it really? Because how much time, energy, and money did it take you to create that ad and to do the research behind that ad? So then some people, and I see this a lot with people in social who do social ads, they'll say, well, it's better to have a 2 ROAS. 2 ROAS is great because for every dollar you spend, now you get $2. And so you get a little bit more leeway and play in that extra dollar above. But sometimes it costs even more than that dollar, especially when you're running a whole series of ads that you're doing a lot of testing on. My sweet spot that I work with, and when I'm telling businesses and training businesses, is you want a ROAS of 4, at least, a return on ad spend of 4 to 1. For our team, I asked our team to stay at 8. I said 8 gives us everything that we need to stay there. When they can come back and they say, you know what, we did this ad and we got a 21 to 1, so we got a 21 ROAS. I'm like, great. That means we've got room to test. We can test up to bringing it down to 8 ROAS. So you can do as much testing as you need to, because I know that for every dollar we spend, we're bringing in, $23. So now we've got some room to play there. So you're going to look at your marketing efficiency ratio, know your contribution, how many clicks, how many conversions are you actually getting? What's the cost? You heard me talk about that before, the cost per acquisition. How much does it cost to get a customer? So that will help you know what your marketing efficiency ratio is. And then what's our quality score? Because with ads, our quality score all is a part of that. You remember the 3 pillars I was telling you about with Google? We look at prominence. So quality is a part of prominence. It's one of the many factors that makes that pillar up. The other 2 pillars, by the way, are distance. How far are you from the people searching or looking for your product, service, or solution? And then number 1 is relevance. How well do you match what people are saying? So one of the best ways that you can find out how people are real, or what words they're using to search, is how I showed you in ads, how I showed you, you can look in Google Analytics and Google Search Console, but you can also look and read your own reviews, because if you look at your own reviews in their own words, they're telling you what matters most to them, not what you think is most important. They're telling you what matters most to them. And if you don't have any reviews yet, go look at your competitors' reviews, because in the competitors' reviews, they're saying this is most important to us of all the things that they deliver and provide. And it may even show you an opportunity where they're not delivering something. Now, what I like to do is I like to use a tool which is free called Export Comments. I do that on social. I do that with any ads. I do that on Amazon, and I'll export an actual competitors comments up to at least 100. I just want 100 at that time. If I want to get really in depth, I might use another tool like on Amazon, Helium 10. You can get up to 1,000 or 2,000 actual comments and reviews. Now what I'll do is I'll upload that to AI, and I'll tell AI, because AI is great at collating data, and tell me the top 10 words, the top 5 sentiments, the top 5 negatives, and then, where are they missing the opportunity? And it can usually crunch that in less than a minute. And now I've got something to go work with, to go test. All right, we've covered a lot. Deep breaths. So from here, you need to set up analytics. If you don't have analytics already set up, please set that up and make sure you become familiar with it. Start using that search box, asking questions, setting goals, and testing. Smart test all your goals. Learn what it is that helps you grow your business. What are the key pieces that you need to grow your business and that are critical? Those are your key performance indicators. They're not the same for everybody. So I gave you a general overview of a lot of metrics. You may not need to measure all those metrics. And now, what are those goals that you're setting? Okay.